Okay, so I wanted to just show you how to pick up um, the side stitches on the sweater's front waistband. So this is that little tab that you knit after you were done when I had you put the stitches on hold right here. And then you went ahead and knit these two tabs on both sides. So then what we do is we're knitting the rib, a 1x1 rib beginning with a purl stitch. It is an odd number of stitches, so you begin and end the row with a purl stitch on the right side and begin and end the row with a knit stitch on the wrong side. So on the right side, you are also picking up a stitch on this edge because I really love seamless knitting, or knitting that you don't have to sew, and you're already going to be doing some sewing on this sweater in order to put the zipper in. So I also, just FYI, I like to, when I had all the stitches on hold and I did these little tabs, I put a stitch marker in the first row just to help me later when I'm going to be attaching the bottom edge here up inside over here, because that is what we're the plan is here. This will get attached up inside and it'll encase the bottom of the zipper. Okay, so now in order to pick up this side stitch, what you do is, and I'm going to apologize up front because I think the colors are blowing out my lens a bit, so there may be some color fluctuation as I move around. All right, so you're going to pick up on your needle that is holding the stitches. You're just going to look for the edge, look along the edge for the edge stitch, and you're just really picking up one every row. You're going to slide it on your needle knitwise. Oh, and make sure that your yarn is in the front. You're holding your yarn in the front. So slide that stitch, that leg of the side stitch right there, onto the needle. And then you're going to purl those two stitches together, whatever your method of purling is. And that's it. Now you just knit across to the other side, and I'll show you the other side when I get there. Okay, so here we are at the second side of the sweater, of the rib band, and wait, yeah, there we go. Okay, so you can see I've left one stitch on the holding needle, and the working needle has all of the other stitches. So I have one stitch left in this right side row. And what you're going to do is not knit that stitch, just slide it over to your working needle. And then with your non-working needle, you're going to look for the leg on the next row of body stitches and just slip it on knitwise. And then you're going to slip that stitch back. Now this is a purl stitch, so you're going to, once you slip the stitch that you did not knit back, you're going to knit the two together. You can see that, right? All right, let me show you that again. So when you get to the end of the row, you leave your last stitch unknit. Slip that unknit stitch onto your working needle, and then with your non-working needle, you're going to pick up a stitch knitwise, slip that other stitch back over to your working needle, and then you're going to purl those two together, and that completes the row. Okay, and then you're going to flip it over, and on the wrong side you don't do that pickup at all, but I just wanted to show you what it looks like on the wrong side. You can see that it's completely attached and seamless. So just a note to you as you knit. So always, like, patterns are written for general knitters, but if you note some changes, like in your gauge, or maybe the yarn you chose changed up some stuff a bit, you can see that for me, this method of just attaching it on the right side row is working quite well. So I'm just going to lay my tab out, and you can see that it's laying very flat right here. and there's no curvature happening. So if you were increasing too frequently for your gauge, this would pull over this way. You'd see a little bit of a sway, or if you were increasing too little, it would pull over that way. So do be mindful. I am picking up each row of the body stitches, each row, only on the right side. But for you, you may need to either decrease or increase that by jumping up a row or so, just depending on how your gauge is laying. But this, if you've got gauge and you're knitting with this very similar yarns, like a superwash sock for your body, for your rib trim, and the Baby Suri silk blends, that's basically DK weight for your body, you should be fine just doing a leg of each row here. So when I'm saying pick up for each row, it's each row of this fabric here, and then every other row of this fabric. So 2 rows of this should equal 1 row of that. Okay, happy knitting!